Ox and the Lion. Dear children, today we will narrate the story of an ox and the lion. Once upon a time, a merchant named Ram was living in a town. He used to carry rice bags for selling them in the faraway city and bring back groceries to sell them in his hometown. To reach the city, he had to cross a thick forest full of wild animals. That is why all merchants traveled in groups and during the day only. There were no motor trucks in those days. All the goods were carried only on bullock carts. The merchant had a bullock cart and 2 strong oxen to pull them. He looked after his oxen very well. One day, the merchant's group set out to the neighboring town with loaded carts. While they were in the midst of the thick forest, one of Ram's oxen tripped and fell down and broke its leg. All the merchants in the group stopped, and Ram was sad that his ox could not move. He shifted some of his rice bags to other carts. He put a stack of hay before it, and tied a cloth on the injured leg of the ox, and left it to mend itself. As the night was about to fall, they moved on hurriedly to cross the forest. It was the end of the monsoon season, and there were not many heavy showers of rain in the forest. The forest was full of vegetation and tender grass. As time went on, the ox's leg began to cure. It had plenty of food to eat. It was grazing all day and was sleeping under a big tree where Ram had left it. Over some time, the ox became healthy and strong. One day, in a joyous moment, the ox bellowed loudly. It was deafening and echoed several times throughout the forest and hills far away. All the animals and birds were awestruck and stood still. The Lion King and a fox, who lived in a den at a distance, heard the thunderous roar of the ox and were shaken with fear, because they never heard such a deafening roar. After a while, the lion asked, "Who could have made such a roar? I have never heard it before. Is it a new monster wandering in the forest?" "I have no idea, sir," said the fox, "but I think it would be safer for us to be inside the den till we learn about it." "Okay, you move through the forest carefully and find out what caused it," said the lion. "Yes, Your Honor, I will," answered the fox, and took leave of the lion. Lion returned to its den feeling scared. The fox understood that the lion was equally scared of the monster. It was also afraid that it might kill it. It thought, "Everyone is afraid of this monster. I should be careful not to be seen by it before I know what it is. I will move through the forest in the dark to find the monster." The fox began moving through the jungle in the night, looking for the strange creature. One day, before the day broke, the fox heard the same thunderous and scaring roar coming from a nearby field, and in the golden light of the rising sun, it could see a big black ox with golden horns. The fox was baffled and also frightened. It never saw such a big ox with strong and sharp horns. It then cautiously spoke to it from a distance. "My dear sir, where do you belong? Every animal and bird is scared by your horrendous call. Are you visiting this forest, or will you want to live here?" The ox watched the fox. It had heard many tales about the crafty foxes and wanted to spread its word around, and said, "I was sent by the gods above, to be the king of this forest. Know everyone, you all should obey me to be alive." The fox believed its words and was scared to go near it. Then the fox silently went back to the lion's den and said, "My lord, I saw a huge ox with divine strength. It was sent by God to rule this forest. It has golden horns. It has the power to come and go whenever it wants. It has the power to defeat any animal in the forest. It would be safer for us not to face it. I have seen that all other animals have moved away from it." The lion nodded its head and said, "We will have to observe the ox for some time, before we do something. You be with me, and bring me the news about the strange animal from time to time." "I will, my lord," said the fox. The fox thought that the lion was frightened and would not bother it for some time. The ox was merrily enjoying grazing in the green pastures with no one to disturb it. One day, while lying under the tree, it saw a caravan of carts coming towards it. It stood in their way. Ram, who was driving the cart, saw his ox standing on the pathway. He could not believe his eyes to see his ox grew strong and healthy. He approached and hugged it, and tied it to his cart. All the fellow merchants were happy to see the ox recover and alive. And the caravan moved on. The fox saw the ox being taken away by the merchant. It ran to the lion and said, "My lord, I saw the divine ox returning to the gods today, and we have nothing to worry about now." The lion was happy to hear that and thanked the fox for the news. Children, that was the story of the ox. Did you like it?